Noam Chomsky is a renowned intellectual and political commentator who has been an outspoken critic of Israeli policies, particularly in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The Dahiya Doctrine, named after the Dahiya neighborhood in southern Beirut, was a military strategy associated with the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, that garnered significant attention and controversy during and after the 2006 Lebanon War. The essence of the Dahiya Doctrine lies in its approach to asymmetrical warfare, advocating the use of disproportionate force to achieve military and strategic objectives. The doctrine's underlying idea is to inflict extensive damage and destruction on the civilian infrastructure and population centers of an adversary, even if those civilian areas are not directly involved in the conflict. This strategy is aimed at compelling the enemy to cease hostilities by causing such destruction that it undermines their will to continue fighting. Chomsky has been highly critical of the Dahiya Doctrine and its application by the IDF. His criticism is rooted in a belief that this military strategy constitutes a form of collective punishment, which is explicitly prohibited by international humanitarian law, including the Geneva Conventions. According to Chomsky and many international legal scholars, the deliberate targeting of civilian infrastructure and population centers, with the knowledge that civilians will suffer, is a violation of the principles of proportionality and distinction in armed conflict. During the 2006 Lebanon War, the Dahiya neighborhood in Beirut was heavily damaged by Israeli airstrikes, and the doctrine itself was explicitly mentioned by Israeli officials. You are seeing the Israelis continue this practice with the Palestinians in Gaza, doubling down with the hypocrisy of saying that this is Hamas's practice. Chomsky argued that the widespread destruction caused by the IDF's use of this doctrine in Lebanon resulted in a significant humanitarian crisis and was, in his view, morally and legally indefensible. Chomsky's criticism of the Dahiya Doctrine is part of his broader critique of Israel's actions in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. He has consistently advocated for a two-state solution and criticized Israel's occupation of the West Bank, its settlement expansion, and its treatment of the Palestinian people. He believes that the use of such military strategies and the prolonged conflict are obstacles to achieving a just and peaceful resolution in the region. In summary, Noam Chomsky's view on the Dahiya Doctrine are that it represents a morally and legally problematic approach to warfare, involving the deliberate targeting of civilian infrastructure and population centers, and constitutes a form of collective punishment. Chomsky's criticisms of this doctrine are part of his broader critique of Israeli policies in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, emphasizing the need for a peaceful resolution and adherence to international law and human rights standards.